we are lucky enough to have her. She's just coming back from Kansas City from judging a print competition down there. And I'm going to just turn it right over to you. Thank you, Pat.
Well, I'm just going to start. We don't have a heck of a lot of time. And so I think maybe I'll just get through as much information as I can. I've got to cut some of this because the original time that I spoke with this program was a little longer than this. So I have to drive home. Oh, first of all, I would like to make a formal apology. I was informed this evening when I arrived here that I had lied to someone, and I try real hard never to do that, and I'm afraid it's very accurate. So here in front of God and everyone, I would like to apologize to my coward for lying to him in '87 at the Hyatt O'Hare. Is this correct?
Somewhere.
Yes. If you want to know about that, you can ask mine. No, I told him at that time, it was when I received my master's degree, and he received his craftsman, and I swore to him I would never speak. I said, I will never have my craftsman degree because you will never see me get up in front of people and talk. I've been to so many programs that I didn't get a lot out of, and I thought, no way, I'm not going to be abused like I've done to others, and I'm going to have to eat my words. I'm doing it. I don't have a good reason for it. You'll all realize this as soon as I'm finished.
God will forgive you.
Okay, do we want to do some lights down here?
But she does owe me a beer.
A cheap white beer. Oh, I have to give credit to a couple of the graphic slides. They're Donnellas. She let me borrow them. Isn't she a sweetie? So we're just going to start with some concepts here. What I'm going to go through is where I get ideas and stay excited about my work, and how I come up with new things to do, and how I make myself stay motivated. So there are a lot of different places and ways you can get ideas, and I'm going to show some examples of where I've gotten some of mine. This idea came from a location. We do have one or two places to do location photography in Kearney, Nebraska that are extremely boring, and this, in my opinion, is one of them. This is what they took out of our old library, and they built a new library that's extremely cold and static and sterile. It's very utilitarian. It has no character whatsoever. But they kept the wooden arch, and they kept the old wooden desk, and they put it upstairs in this metal building, and they call it the Kearney Room. And it's a wonderful place. People are falling over.
Margarita, please.
Shut him off. So this is, the location is what hit it for me, and my model, we also have a shortage of those in Kearney. She was one of the seniors I did, and I drug her up there. The other reason I did this was an exercise I gave myself so I would learn to do some new things. This was done with Typewriter film. This is all tungsten lighting. I used quartz lights, and they were quartz mini spots, but you'll see how I did this in a second. See the panels? Like to make ducks. This is how I lit this. This is a large panel. This is reflective material here, creating my fill light. And over here is a translucent fabric. There's black fabric here just as a gobbo to block the light from getting to the lens. And it's just available light type L quartz spots. Real fun stuff if you've never played with it. I saw some pictures that Don Busap did, and he's wonderful with that kind of lighting. And I got real excited, and I got upstairs and dug out the old quartz lights that we had used for years. And this is really fuzzy. Okay, so I see if this autofocus thing works. How do we do this?
It won't work.
Nothing happens. Okay, can we just... There, much better. Most of my pictures are sharp. If not, it's the projector's fault. What we did here was we varied some of the sides of the lighting. And here I added the ambient, the spots, to add a little warmth. You see the difference in those two? It's just kind of fun. It's just kind of an evolution of how I came up with the print, what I did. Now on this one, this might be a hard thing to spot, but there is a light directly behind her pointed this way. See the edging, the rim around the hair? The thing I didn't like about it, I love the edging around her hair. I like that little light I got, but I really didn't like what it did here. Look at that. You know, it made an incredible difference. And so the print that I finally entered was the first one you saw without that. Other places for ideas, magazines, things like this. Taxi is a wonderful one. The studio subscribes to Elle. I've gotten a lot of ideas out of Elle that I put right into my senior work, and there's some examples of that in the senior slideshow. Vogue is always fun. Go for the really bizarre things rather than just the ordinary. Interview, W, fun places to get ideas too. Other photographers, a great source. I steal ideas all the time, and I don't see anything wrong with it. It's something new for me, and you give your own flair to it, so wherever you can get concepts, use them. Here's an idea that came from somewhere else, and I tried to adapt it. This is our old post office, which is now our Museum of Art, and I like the marble stairway, and I had seen a picture on a marble stairway that really got me excited, and so I tried something. She now lives in New York. A friend of mine. She moved away. All my friends have moved away. Honest, another one's leaving next week. It's terrible. I don't know if it's me or Kearney. I would like to think it's Kearney, Nebraska. But two different ideas, two different concepts on the same theme. Real sporty, real fun. And the first one was very sophisticated with the black dress. And this is where I came up with the idea, the cover of the Showcase magazine. Obviously, we don't have staircases like that, but you know, you do the best you can with what you got. And Showcase is a great place to get ideas. It's all commercial work. I'm assuming most of you know all this because a lot of people in here are better photographers than I am, and I'm sure you're getting ideas out of all these sources you can too. Isn't she cute? As everyone probably knows, this is Donnella's little girl, and this was this was my first court honor print. I was real happy with this, and I wanted to do something with graphics, with squares and a person and a portrait, mix the two. And I originally took it with the whole window in there, but I didn't really like it with the whole window. I just ended up with those two pieces. And those are original expressions. As all of you know, you don't fake that on a child that age. She was pissed at me. I made her sit there, and she was not having a good time. And that was the first thing I had in depth. So that was kind of a little ego boost there. She's going. And she's so cute, we used her again. Like I said, there's not an awful lot to pick from in Kearney for models, and when you have a kid this cute, you photograph her more than once. And seeing as how I don't have children that are very photogenic, I used it Dana a lot. Now, what's fun about this, I don't know if anyone notices, there's some neat, subtle things about it, I think. Did anyone notice, like, the golden tones in the background? That was achieved by putting a colored gel on the light that bounced off the ceiling. And so then you get the tones in the background. It's fun working with animals. Real large light source, non-specular source for the subject. It's a 52-inch starfish and just a reflector for fill. I like to keep things really simple with kids. This is how most of the session went. I take these two. She didn't the cat scratch her, Donella? Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was wounded afterwards. I'm amazed she still lets me do her pictures. Victoria, I don't know if any of you get this magazine or look at it. It's a real neat magazine to get ideas for pictorial, moody type photographs. As Les and Mike know, it's really a popular thing that's happening now in our industry is the grain, the small figures, the very French impressionistic painting aspect of doing photographs. This magazine is put out with that feeling. There are some wonderful pictures. Barbara has pictures in this magazine from time to time. And if you don't get it, and if you're interested in doing that kind of work, it's a fun place for ideas other than your PPGO magazine. All of us get ideas out of PPGO magazines. Get ideas from the same place as your customers get ideas, so you're kind of on the same wavelength. Now here's another application of the muslin. And that's another one of my good friends that moved away. I just like to mention that. She's in Salt Lake City now. And I used a pink gel to bring the pink theme out, and you can see the pink on her shoulders, and you can see it in the fabric fold, in the shadow areas. It's just kind of a fun way to bring the color through the whole picture. I think this is real nice too. Good slides, really good slides. Oh, this girl should wash more. Look at that scum on her nose. This is our train station, our little train depot. God, what is that thing called? It's an old train depot, and they moved it in and set it up. It's a little historical place. And I asked if I could photograph in there for a small donation. They let me. And the reason I put this in here was to bring out just one point. When you go into a location and available lighting is good, leave it alone. This was what was there. There was a wonderful window over to the right-hand side, and there was enough ambient for people to fill, and it just all hit the mood with the kind of warm, amberish tone of the whole print. That's another one of my friends, Marta, that moved away. It's the only people I shoot in the program. Zoom and, again, another photographer's book. Towards the end of my program, I've got a segment, and I'll refer to some Nancy Brown things. But just other places to get ideas. Photo design, it's neat to get ideas out of this for wall decor pictures. Every once in a while I try to make myself do one of those. Oh, another source of ideas, your customers, okay? This was a senior boy that I photographed 2 years ago. He came in and I had to go down to the studio at night to shoot it, and I was in a bad frame of mind. About the nicest way I can say that. I did not want to go down to the studio at 7:30 at night after shooting seniors all day, and I went down there and I had a bad attitude, and I really didn't want to do this. I wanted to go home. I wanted to put on my sweatsuit, and he came in and he looked like a nice, normal senior kid. He brought his mother, and I was real concerned. So here's the first picture. He went into the dressing room and got casual. Looks pretty much like a normal, ordinary kid here. And then he came out and looked like this. His mother's Japanese, his father is American. This is I've got to get the name of the sword. It's not samurai. There's a certain name for this sword. But they are this type of swordsman. And this is a raw silk outfit that his uncle wears when he does this sword fighting. It has some special name, which I can't remember right now. But anyway, this was the outfit he came out in. And things got real fun after that. By the end of the session, we got to be friends. Here's one that I did that I really liked a lot. And then I invited him back in with his outfit. He'd grown a mustache. He looked a little more rowdy then. And I got a merit on this print. So sometimes even out of bad experiences, good things can come. Doesn't that sound like something your mother would tell you? Fine Light. I love that publication, and great ideas in there. Things that I cannot always do because of the massive constructions of sets, etc. But if you can pick up points, just little things you can do. The fashion issues are always places you can get fun ideas. How much made models look like that? New publication, Ultimate Commercial Photographer's Handbook. Issue 2 is out now. I don't have it yet, but I did notice a form for that. I've gotten ideas out of that too. And as far as commercial work, I do some of that kind of stuff too. This got a merit print, and it was one of those fun things again that I did as a self-assignment. I don't know about the rest of you, but I get kind of burned out sometimes day in, day out doing the same kind of things. And so I make myself do self-assignments. I have a list of them. Things I want to shoot, things I want to try, and there will be a time where I'll sit down and finally get to it. The reason I was doing this was I wanted to try the double reflection thing and try to perfectly center the two separate images. It is shot in color, and it's not really easy to see, but up here at the neck of the bottle where the cork and the wine meet, you can see the green bottle through there. So when I mounted it, I did the green edging. It was kind of fun. And this is Poor Man's Black Flex. It's just a piece of glass painted black on the bottom. Flex is too expensive. It scratches too easy, and I don't use it enough to justify it. Okay, here's another idea. This is ugly. This is bad. I'll get to the good one. But this is how it got started. This was, again, a self-assignment, and I got this idea out of one of the Fine Lights. And Mr. Collins had done a multiple exposure and controlled a color burst on a background. And I said, God, I bet I can do this. So I started with a decent subject. This, incidentally, is 4 exposures, okay? And we'll go through where those all came from. Let me get to the finished print. This is how it started out. Obviously, it needs to be printed down. Here's a final image, okay? Presentation was nice here. I'll go through it real quick with you how I did it. The first exposure was the main highlight here. I don't own a lot of panels, I could have done this in 2 exposures, but I don't own a lot of panels, so I had to put speculars on with additional exposures, okay? And one thing when you're working with something dead like this, a still product, you've got time to work with. So you can do, 2-hour exposures and get back to it, unless you kick your tripod. So the first one was this panel here, just a large light source. The second one was the specular on this side. The third one was the fill over here, which isn't real easy to see, but it's there, and we wouldn't have definition. And then the fourth one was the red burst in the back. And to do the red burst and to get it to fuzz out right, I had to kind of play with apertures. And I stayed focused on the bottle and opened up wide open, and then gave it the amount of time for the density of red. If you want to learn to play with that kind of thing, go to Dean Collins' program, and you can learn how to do chromosomes so you know for how long, where you're going to put the shade of red, how red or how dark it's going to be. I can explain it, but I'm not very good at it. Another place to get ideas are locations. This is a friend's house. BJ, she moved away too. And this is my other friend Christine, who's also moved away. And it was just one of those things where I loved her window seats. And so we went there and tried to work with it. Incidentally, we drank the bottle of wine, and that is water with blue and red food coloring. You can make imitation wine with water and blue and red food coloring. They didn't want to work. My graphic artist prepared these for me. You guys like these? This is how this is done. Okay, we have our subject, attractive woman, very important for competition. We have a nice location, we have wine, we have a camera. Oh, I forgot to identify the tripod. You guys can figure that out, it has 3 legs. Sync cord. This is a Vivitar, okay? Oh, incidentally, that print went into loan, and I did it with 1 Vivitar. I'm real proud of that. And through a diffusion panel, and the shadow density level was achieved by how long I left the shutter open. It's very important to use Crayola crayons. Don't use imitation brand, and I do prefer the 24 colors. God, this group is bad. I mean, come on, give me a hum or something. Jesus. Thank you. And where's your buddy? Okay.
I'll run this other side.
Okay, run to the other side, yeah, go over there fast. Another idea, something else fun to do, same house as the window seat was in, and what we did different here was played with adding color gels. There were a couple of difficult things about this. Number one, I could not control the density outside the window by shutter speed. It was just one of those cases where there were dead trees and there was somebody's old green Chevy across the street, and you could see those things. And I don't care how long you tried to leave the shutter open, and the kid wouldn't stay there that long. But you could always see them. I could not get that to go white. So we had to go outside the house and tape white fabric up there. Some of my diffusion fabric. It's my friend's kid. Gosh, another one of these wonderful renditions. No, that one's still there.
Okay.
One's still there.
Old enough to know better.
She will when she gets bigger. Yeah, the fabric I told you about, taped on the outside of the window. Again, the ever-trusty Vivitar with an amber gel on it, and I used a flash through an umbrella for the source and controlled my density on the shadow side with a ton of exposure. If you guys have questions, you have to ask. You have to do it fast because I don't ever stop talking. And just another concept on the same theme. Kind of fun. Bar, great location to do pictures. This is one of my favorite prints that I've ever done. There were a lot of difficult things to deal with in here. First of all, the illumination in a bar, even with all the lights on, is so low I could not focus in there. It was terrible. And there are not many outlets, and you have to go in there when they're not working. I happen to know the owner of the bar, so that wasn't a real problem. We went in there on Saturday morning. Have you ever been in a bar in the morning? You know how gross those places smell? Oh, yeah. And of course, Friday night's a big night, and so I'm carrying all this lighting equipment, and my model and I walk in there, and ew, not a good atmosphere to work in. You're kind of going, yeah. But I've got, we did, now, I called it Outback Annie. We went with an Australian theme, and I want everyone to notice that that is Australian beer. Actually, it's beer out of the tap, but it's a bottle of Australian beer. Okay, here's how we did this one. Location bar, real important. Ale, we had ale right there. I used a little Morris light. I don't have a lot of expensive lights that I take on location. I'm real proud of my Vivitars. And we've got the bar stools and anything else I need to tell you guys about? The rest was self-explanatory. 80 millimeter lens, had an umbrella light for fill. Again, due to the low light level in the bar, I could not control shadow density with time. I had to add another light. And we lit these back here with the amber gel Vivitars. I do use controls on my Vivitars though, so I can change the output. Now this is shown just so you can see overall area before finished print. The lighting here, I thought, was very acceptable without much manipulation at all. We started with an obvious main light source. It was snowing that day, which happened to just be real wonderful. We had to time this. We either had to do it in the afternoon or on an overcast day. And there were oh, she's moved away too. Wanda's gone. She's now making her living as an artist. So if you ever have an opportunity to buy a Wanda Sanders, her watercolors are her best thing. She doesn't do an awful lot of sculpting. She does wonderful, wonderful work. I can't afford one of her prints just yet. I'm working on it. But what's really nice about this, besides our main light, and because we're close, we've got a kicker, a built-in kicker light. Look at the wonderful separation it gives us here on her hair and on the back. This was a location that was really tough to find, and she knew about it because she was into the artwork. It's a building where they have the kiln and they do all the firing in the basement. It's an old power plant for, our TB hospital, and the college has taken over it. And I would not have known this was there. We had to go to a ton of work for this. There were shelves in here going this way. We had to take all of them down. We had to take all these people's work off of there, which makes you real nervous. This is college art students' work. Because if we dropped it, we'd have been in a lot of trouble. We had to go up there on a Sunday, and then we put back just the items that we felt added to the terracotta color here and that were important stages. There were some things I didn't understand that she said, like this had to be left on or that wouldn't be authentic because they wrap them in those bags so the clay doesn't get hard, and a lot of different things like that, and how they use the stands and things. It's real interesting. So that was the start of the area, and this was about the finished print I entered there. She was someone who was not a real good model because she couldn't really react for you. She had to be doing things or she looked fake. And so I just let her work, and I just shot her as she worked on her sculpture. There's the finished print. The only reason I showed this was just because it was kind of fun to do the beveled edge that we talked about there, and I colored it and then put it on the terracotta mat so you just have a little color harmony in there. It's kind of fun. Action prints. Another place to get ideas, okay? I had a friend, he also moved away. They're gone, they're all gone. Kim Cummings, and we were sitting around one day, not doing much of anything, and we were talking about stupid things we have, stupid collections. And he had a soap collection. He worked for Scandal Sound, and he went all over the world doing sound for Neil Diamond, Dolly Parton, the Pointer Sisters, all these people he traveled with. And every country, every state, every hotel he was in, he collected soap. And he had probably 500 different bars of soap. And I said, why would you do that? He paints on the side. He's somewhat of an artist. And he said, well, someday, Patty, I'm going to throw them all in a pile and I'm going to paint this. So from there, we started talking more. And it's like, well, wouldn't it be nice to have a picture of this for you to paint from? And we started coming up with all kinds of ideas. And we went and we got out all of his soap. And over lunches, we would consider new concepts of what all we could do with this soap. So I did a whole series on this soap. We started with this one, with all the dial bars. And this is an antique phone. It was a friend of his. And he kind of assisted. Don't ever work with someone else who thinks they're an artist. We fought a lot on how things should be done. It's like, this is my camera and this is what we're doing. So we went from that. We did that one. Just fun. The reason I wanted to do it, this is my wall decor in my bathroom. I have a soap series, and that's what decorates my bathroom.
Is that on a bike plastic too?
Yes, yes. Imitation flex. And the dirty hand on all the bars of soap, which was fun. And some of these are from hotels in other countries, and they have weird names on them. It's great.
The person who that hand was?
What? It was his hand. Yeah, we charcoaled it all up, so it was all dirty. It was great. The oatmeal soap, you know, just come up with any kind of weird concept you could. I made oatmeal, don't tell Carl this, Danella, but I made the oatmeal in the pan that we mix chemicals in down in the dark room. I used a little hot plate that we heat up the water on, you know, for the developer. I made the oatmeal in there when we were down there shooting it. And what's really fun about this one, okay, is it over here? That's my friend Kim. We put his reflection in the spoon. We stuck his head inside of the light panel over there. So I thought that was pretty fun. And that's another friend's plate, so.
You leave that out that night, didn't you?
Pardon the oatmeal. I washed it. I washed the pan up real good. So if the developer's kind of strange for the oatmeal, no, I cleaned it up. Soapscape. This one has kind of been an interesting one. First of all, we came up with the idea of why not do the soap all in a row like the city skyline. And so it took us a while to set up the soap so it kind of looked like little buildings and to get them to stay there. And I think I had to put like little toothpicks in here and some things like that. And then to do this little neon effect in the back, this is a real fun thing to know how to do. There's probably 4 or 5 different ways you can do it. I'll tell you how I did it, and then I'll give you a couple other ideas. What you do is you take a piece of white paper and you cut out the shapes of these on the white paper, bigger than the image, okay? Now, if you're doing this as a view camera, it's super simple. You just pop the back off, you shine a light through it, and it'll make a shadow back there, and you've got something to copy. I did not have the view camera on this one, and I didn't really have a way to do this. I did this on an RV, and so I had to keep trimming, looking. It was time consuming. Then what you do is, after you shoot this, you shoot this image with your main light, which you can obviously see is a large source, and it's from the top. I don't think I even used a reflector. Just one large source coming at the top and front. Nothing on the back, okay? Leave that blank. Then you open your lens up again, and you open your shutter wide open, which fuzzes this out. Now you can change the degree of fuzz, the degree of neoning, by how much you open that shutter, how out of focus you put it, in relation to how close this is when you're focused on your main image. And then you just leave the shutter open for as long as whatever density level you want in the background. But it's a real fun idea. Another way you can do this is you can take the strippable, it's got a name, it's not contact paper, but it's very similar to contact paper, and you can put it on the back, you can trace around it, and then pull off the area that's your cutout, and then you can shine a light back through this gel. So all kinds of different ways, but real fun. And I don't know if I've got any more soap pictures. Yeah. Oh, this is soap hinged. Yes. So we made a little pool in the studio. Some of the water leaked out. Please don't tell Carl about that either. I did mop it all up. Yeah, like Stonehenge, only soap hinged. Yeah. You have to explain it, it's not funny. I lost it. Okay, but anyway, we thought we'd cut out this soap to make it look like the low Stonehenge, and so that was the last little humor element.
Patty, you
Yes.
say it's the one that Chevy Chase knocked over.
Yeah, it's the one Chevy in family, but European family
Yeah.
vacation, right? Okay.
Who showers with it?
New shower. That was not a shower. We built a pool out of black plastic and then
Of
ran
what?
water in it. Black plastic, Visqueen, and just prop
Used
it
all the
in,
time.
put water in it. No, don't you know what Visqueen is? You can get it at any, like Earl May type place, garden center. It's the stuff they put on the ground before you put white rock on there so nothing will grow through it.
Weed barrier.
Yeah, weed barrier, Visqueen.
She said garbage, a garbage bag.
Garbage bag, okay, whatever. Now, what was neat about the soap pictures, I didn't know I was done with them until now, I'll tell you this. I entered them in, it was art for the bathroom, a bathroom art juror show. And you had to send slides of your work to this, and they only picked what they felt would be good enough to be in it. It's Walker's Point Center for the Arts. It's someplace in Wisconsin. And I submitted the dial soap one, the color dial soap, and the soapscape, the last one. They were both accepted, and I shipped them there, and I hadn't heard because the show was delayed, and I just called them the other day, and they said it will be on soon. So I hope I can sell them, and that'd be really, really fun for me if I could sell some wall decor. I would love to sell wall decor, I don't much. Another place to get ideas, old books. Carl has a wonderful, wonderful library. And Donella yells at him every time he buys books and filters because he does it a lot. She wants to know where the money's going. But I'm real glad he has them because I couldn't afford them all and it's a great source. this old glamour book, I tried real hard to look through all Carl's books, and when I was looking through this one print really struck home, and I really liked it, and I wanted to do a concept off of it, and I did. So print here on the right. I just love that print. I don't know why. It was just one of those things that really struck me. And that's what I did. It was one of my merit prints one year. She has also moved away. She has. It's the one that's in New York now. But what I mainly want to bring out here, it's fairly obvious how I did it. I had a starfish off to the left. I had a fill flat. Something that's real important, I had a flat in back with the light shining through so that there was separation between her fanny and this. Okay, otherwise she'd be a real white girl. Okay, so when you do black on black, be sure you put a specular back there to define. And also a large overhead separation here, like whatever you want to call it. Okay. The judges said that that hand looked stupid, and Dick Evans fought to keep it from getting a merit, but it got one anyway, so there.
Who fought for it?
I just wanted to say that.
Who fought for it?
I don't know, but it wasn't Dick because he hated
It
it.
was me.
Was it you? See, I didn't know who fought for it. I just knew who was against
I
it.
remember that one.
Oh, well, thank you, Michael. Okay, and where I want to get to from this is after you find new ideas, after you make yourself do new things, take that to your clients, okay? Don't just leave it at your convention stuff. So after that, this is what I did for senior stuff. You know, I had made it, I knew how to do it, so I did some of my senior prints with it, okay? And just some fun ways, vary it, do two of them. These are El Cheapo pieces of cardboard. It's corrugated cardboard that I taped together. On this one I don't have it turned right, you can't even see the tape. So you know how I made them. With a piece of cardboard on the top, just glued together. Okay? They get trashed, but they're real cheap, and you only want to use them a season anyway, you get bored of them. Pieces of black paper. Now I've moved up, I'm using black press board. It lasts longer, the paper would work. I started with black construction paper. But just senior pictures. So you take a card. He was a magician, and he brought in some of his stuff. And so we put him on this because he wore a tuxedo when he performed, and the checks were fun. I used the checkered floor, the imitation checkered floor for a musical group that I do pictures of too. Just something kind of fun on the side. And then take it a little farther. Take them up the wall. You know, start doing some other stuff with it. Just ideas, just concepts. Make some triangles. Add those in there. It all started with the idea out of that glamour magazine, that Hollywood glamour book. Lay them on the floor with the triangles. Just vary it as much as you can. Keep them different, interesting, so that every kid thinks he's the only kid that you've done it that way.
Is that paper right there?
This is black paper.
No, the white.
Yeah, yeah.
Was it painted for earlier?
Painted floor? No, it's paper. It's pulled out paper. Not white paper. White paper.
All of it, all the shots here of all of the
Yeah,
paper?
yeah. We don't have a site. And then this is just two pieces of lath. I have a ball with those. I hang them and put them all kinds of different ways. It's just kind of fun because you've got a negative and a positive triangle, and they're both linked to your subject. I know all of your seniors look just like her. Isn't she cute? Look at how they dress now. Who did dress like that? Of course, my legs don't look like that. Just other concepts with the black on white. Painted the wall, half black, half white. The only thing that's a booger about this, and I know you're going to say she's broadlit, and I know this, but I can't light from over here or I get a reflection off this black. Whenever I shoot her, I've got a light from the other side. I kind of like the shadow on there. I think it gives it some more feeling. Just a white circle and a black triangle. Real easy to move, real fun to do things with. Take the checks, just use fun tack, just dap fun tack. Put a couple balls on the back, stick those up there, and do some other patterns, some other ideas. But I will warn you, I used fun tack a bunch the first year I started doing this, which is about 3 years ago. And I would even put it up on my white paper, and then I would have to take it off after I did it. And I would have things up high, and you have to roll it on itself, like a big blob of it, and then it picks it up. And I lost it, and it ended up in my hair. Yeah, it does not come out of your hair. I had to cut a big chunk of my hair out instead of sticking. Well, in the middle of the session, I didn't really have time for peanut butter. I kind of yanked a bunch of hair out, left the rest of it, and finished shooting. At the end of the day, I tried to get it out. That stuff is bad.
I spilled the can.
That's what that stuff will do.
Bad hot.
Okay, and then for the heck of it, reverse it. Do white on black. Hang a window up there. Throw a cat through in some water. Someone get that?
Yes.
Thank you. just on two little chairs, actually. Actually, it's on adjustable stools is what it's on. And just to get some height, just to do something different. I've also done color bursts back there. I don't do that very much because it's a pain in the tush to set up. It's very time consuming. But it's fun. And take the lines and do a little more with them. Bring them into your subject. Okay. Here's some other stuff I do with the lattice board. Just a piece of wood I spray painted black. But this whole idea started with that one picture in that Hollywood plan. My Samuel Senior. Just the pieces of black. Real simple stuff. Add some crescent board. You know, just see how many weird things you can come up with. I challenge myself to try to do something different with most of the kids, at least one thing different. And I find myself sometimes getting into ruts, and there'll be 4 or 5 arrangements that are my favorites, and I keep doing them. And you have to be real careful not to.
How long do you take to read these?
Oh, I'm slow. We try to schedule, and I try to stay on schedule. I'm not real good about that. I know it yells at me a lot. But our sittings are not cheap. I guess this is PPGO, so I'm not supposed to tell you how much they are. I will later. It doesn't matter to me. But they have a choice of 3 different sessions. They can do an 8-pose economy, a 16-pose standard, or a 24-pose super, essentially 1, 2, 3 rolls. It's given me 2 mistakes on each one. And I add a half hour for each session, more or less, we try to do. If I have to, I can stay on schedule, but I don't always. It takes time. It takes time. I work real hard.
Half an hour.
And an hour and a half, right.
100, 200, 300.
Yes, well, gosh, that's what we get. Seniors look real bored. Add color. Just pieces of crescent board. Coordinate with the outfit. And, you know, even when you're doing something like this, add the lattice board and do something different in there. Okay, now, here is where I have to break, and we're going to do something else. Can we fade to this? Oh, yes, I do. Ah! I don't walk in the dark.
2 feet away on some of those.
They are.
And are you also adding back?
Not on some of them. I do when I can. I use, for my main light source, I use a 52-inch starfish, okay? So it's large, it's very dispersed. And we have a very ambient, efficient camera room. We have white ceilings, we have light walls, it's fairly small in there. So we get a lot of bounce light. And I have a separation light up on the ceiling that's pointed on the ceiling and bounces off. So essentially I have the whole panel area as a light source, right? So that kicks back in. So when I'm working really tight to the background like that to get everything in, I don't have too much trouble. You notice in some of them it goes a little bit gray sometimes. Those are not perfectly clean high keys that I would enter in competition, but I've never had a senior care that they went a little bit gray when I'm doing the colors and that kind of stuff. And it's slight, it's not much. It's really not. But when I'm out back far enough, yeah, I have very low power, but then they're nice and clean. What I'm gonna do now is, oh, quick, no. I'm gonna do our senior slideshow. And I'm going to show you this, and this is what our seniors see when they come into the studio. About, how long have we been doing this? 5, 6 years? 6 years ago, I went to a program, and someone did the slideshow concept on weddings, right? And so I got the equipment, and when people came in to ask us what our wedding prices were, instead of showing them the albums and sitting them down for price lists, we plugged in the slideshow and said this is a fun way to look at a lot of pictures in a short period of time. So I took it to seniors after that, and this is how I do my seniors. When they come into the studio and ask for a senior price list and information, we've got albums, but then I show them our senior slideshow. And I tell them that it's a great way to get ideas of the backgrounds they do and don't like, the clothing that other kids have chosen, what kind of feeling, what kind of mood they want in their senior session, so we customize it to them. And this is what we show the kids. Now, all these are far from merit prints that are in here. But these are our kids, this is what we shoot, this is what we do. And the reason some of them are in here is because of what school they're from. The reason some of them are in here is because of who they are. Yeah, let's go. You see, I'm sorry. questions on any of those, how I did any of those backgrounds before I go into the last part of the program? You guys are easy.
Hey, I never thought I'd ask any speaker about this, but can you tell us about the studio just a little bit? How big is your camera room?
See, that's why I don't do this, because I thought, God, it's the last thing you want to see is pictures of our studio. Yeah.
Real briefly, how big?
However, she
No.
has 80 slides.
Wait, I have 2 more trays of the studio. The studio. You've never been there? I thought all of you visited at one time or another. Camera room is, boy, it's going to be tough. I'm not real good at this. Women can't judge distance.
Comfort.
We won't go into that joke. It's not a second. No, I haven't. 13 and a half to 14 on the camera room by 25.
About the size of this one.
And
Half
there's
the
a
size.
small dressing room that comes out of that, okay? So it's not entirely a shooting room, but I shoot all around it. And then we've got an office and bath that's the same width, it'd be about that 14 width side. I've got some of the black plastic stuff over here. I don't shoot to the back very often. I need to improve that wall. We've got some wallpaper back there that we put out for family groups. It's not working out very well.
On the full length studies, how long are the lenses used?
127 for reasonable height people. If I get to basketball players, I can't quite make it. I'm up against the wall, literally. If I have them back against white, so I need some extra large back there. It's pretty tight. It's pretty tight. But I'm very active when I shoot. I'm kind of like this, you know, like I am when I talk. Time my hands down. But I move a lot, and I move up and down and on the floor, and I'm always moving props and doing stuff, talking to kids. I call it the photographer's diet and exercise. I'm always skinnier in the summer until I've been shooting for a while. Okay, I've just got one last little segment you guys have to live through when you're out of here, or you will leave now. Get in there. I ran some tests that I thought were kind of interesting, and I want to get into those. And nobody had any questions about any of the senior backgrounds, how I made them or anything, because I made almost all of those. I cut those out with an X-Acto knife on board, and I stole the idea. Richard Voorhees did it first, but he stole it out of a magazine, so I don't know.
I just got it.
But he sent it to me, so I stole it.
So any
And
of these I could take away.
How tall are they?
oh, the people, the shadow shape cutouts, about so big. And a lot of times I put perspective ones in with them, and I use fun tack, or I just stick them on the ground, put some colors behind them. I just made those towards the end of last year. People haven't ordered too much from them. They're not real popular. I like them, but if I don't do things that sell, I get yelled at. It's really awful. So rude to me this year.
Just cut your arm.
No one
You're
cares.
by yourself?
Clark, pardon? When I shoot? No, are you kidding? Me work with someone? No, it'd be nice at times, but no, I don't. We'd have to have a whole nother background. I did this year. Start out with black foam core, which they do not seem to ship to Nebraska. So I started, here's like this problem, the trucks don't make it past the state line or something. I started with white foam core and had to paint it black. Be real careful when you do that. Do it in several light coats or it warps real bad, okay? Just from experience. And then I took a texture roller. This idea was be a Rich Voorhees, but it was out of the Rolling Stone magazine. That's where it originally came from. Whoever shot the Rolling Stone picture, I do not know. But this has been real popular. Take a texture roller, which is one of those rollers with the great big loops on it, and use fairly thick paint. Go into a room or outside where you don't care because you make one heck of a mess. We've got a room upstairs where we can scum out and it's okay. And then you just take the roller and you kind of swirl the paint and kind of fling it and you just kind of have fun with it. And use 2 different shades of gray. You can see here there's a darker gray and a lighter gray. And then when those are dry, you just take a piece of chipboard and just feather edge spray with some colors. It's real easy to do and it works wonderful with the way kids really dress. Okay, when they bring in their ripped up jeans and their scummo clothes.
Did he invite to pay for his order?
As a matter of fact, he placed a very, very good order. Yeah. one of our
I
Urbana
guess he
seniors.
could, because he didn't spend any
That
of
was
the
close.
clothes.
He told me, you ready
Did you
for
ever try
this?
to
He
buy a
told
pair of
me
jeans
that
like
it took him about 4 or 5 weeks to get his jeans like this, and he picked at them with a pen in class. He obviously wasn't listening. But seriously, I mean, this is cool to have these jeans like this. He made a sincere effort to get these jeans this way. They're not old. I mean, he picked them apart in school. Okay, fine. But anyway, that's that background. And another concept when they bring in hobbies, you know, lifeguard or whatever, it's really fun for that kind of stuff. So if you're thinking about doing something new this year, that's one I really recommend because it's been real popular. It's sold pretty well for new ideas. Because we all know, basically, your big prints are going to be your head and shoulder shots. They still are for us too. But if I can sell proofs off this, or if it's something different enough to get the kids excited that they're going to come in and see what I'm doing, and I book the sittings, I'll do it. Oh, here are my people. That is just a crescent board, and I cut it out with an X-Acto knife. If I were to do it again, I would not use anything as heavy as crescent board. I'd already drawn it on there and started. My hand was dead. That was awful. I think I would maybe go to foam core or go to something else.
Where'd you get the idea for the figures?
The figures, it was stolen 2 or 3 times. Richard Voorhees does something like that, and he got it out of a magazine. One of my seniors came in and said, "Oh, we had those figures, and that's my favorite ad for so-and-so jeans in such and such magazine." Yeah. And so I took it and put it on an astroscope and projected it up. I'm not good enough to draw that stuff. I'm a really lousy artist. But just another idea. There's another way I used it. Perspective lines. This is just black photographer's tape. It's like masking tape. I can't gloss this. Get it. We got it. It wasn't that funny. And add color. Again, just with fun tack and just circles and crescent board. Perspective grids. I got into these this year, and I think they're kind of nifty. It's just, this is chart pack, lining tape, and you just make them narrower at the back and start out this way. This is on gray crescent board. The gray is real fun because it picks up color. She had the purple in her sweater, and so we did the purple gel behind her. I think we've sold a few of those, but I just started doing it at the end of last season, so not that many. If I'm wrong, I know, but. And there's another one. Did the antler with her. Pretty girl. She's great skin. They're all that way fun. And here's just more contrasty, same thing. Set 3 of these. This I like a lot on the Mirapex Chromium Mylar with the reflective surface. You can sit them down on it. When they bring in clothes that don't go with any of your backgrounds, when they bring in those awful mustard colors and things, you can always put them on that. Okay, I forgot these were in here. These are the pictures that I did on my safari class at National in New Orleans, and it's just kind of fun to show these. We had a real cute little model, and everybody else that did a safari in New Orleans went to the French Quarter. And I made my class go do high-tech buildings. I think they were kind of irritated, but we lived through it. It's kind of fun to work with the black marble. We don't have anything like that. And it was so pretty because we had natural skylight coming in here, and her hair was so pretty. Add that. And just some fun things that we kind of did. See how many ways a girl can stand by a building. This is called getting down on your stomach on the sidewalk with traffic. That was pretty exciting. What? What? Share with the class. Share with the class. And this is just a sculpture that we found on the way going to the second location I picked out. That was kind of fun. And anytime you can use any kind of angles, this was up their post office, I think, down there. Our lines, leading lines are always fun to work with. Diffusion, add the little diffusion out there. If you want a real cheap diffusion filter, I don't know how many of you have tried this, but the Geppi slides, the anti-maneuvering side, real fun, real cheap. There were pictures in the senior slideshow that were done that way. Something a little different. Soft focus, interesting cropping, kind of fun. Yeah, it is. So there. Okay.
Girls compose differently than
The last section here are going to be some test shots I did with high grain. We just came back from judging, all 3 of us, in Kansas City, and there were a lot of prints. Les commented on to me about how he didn't know how to do portraits anymore because you can't really see the faces and they're all grainy now. But it's true, it's kind of a trend. French Impressionistic art is very popular now, it's very trendy now, and if we want to do more wall decor pictures, it's fun to have this ability and know what we're doing. So what I did was I ran tests on several different ways I knew of to do grain, and you can pick what you want. And this is one good thing I will say that came out of me doing a program. It made me get off my duff and go do this. I thought, I want something halfway interesting that maybe everybody has to test it out, so why not go test this stuff under similar conditions so that then people can make a choice of what they want to shoot. Now, there's a set of prints over there on the wall, black and white, of a very attractive young man. And he's up against the wall, and there's no diffusion and several different kinds of diffusion, and I want you guys to all take a look at those if you're interested and see what kind of effects different diffusions have on high-speed film. It's all shot on 3200 T-Max, exposed at 1600, and developed it, about 2000. It's called being in the darkroom and not being able to get the cap off when it's time. I'm honest. I screw up sometimes. So it wouldn't come off. I was in there real upset. I knew these were my pictures, but they came out. Okay. Latitude, love latitude. Okay, I love my job.
Low camera angle.
Yeah, real low camera. You should see the next. The slide's a little big, but he is chopped off at the head, but not quite yet. Oh, I like Kevin. Now, this is my neighbor, and yes, I do own a telescope. And he's 27. He's 27. He's divorced. Yeah, and he's real pretty. Not the brightest boy you've ever met, but who cares? So anyway, this is.
That's all women say, who cares?
Who cares? This is just so you can kind of see the grain pattern on 3200 T-Max, okay? Everybody that was at Nebraska knows that this was my folio. That's Kevin.
Did you have him over to show him the grain?
Oh, there he is. Pardon? Did I have him come out and see my etchings?
Grain.
Yeah.
Now you shot on 120?
No, 35 millimeter. T-Max 35 millimeter, 3200. And there's the folio, just kind of the idea. This is what that background, I call it the Splato paint background. I have to have names for things, and I don't have a good name, but that's what I call it, and everyone seems to understand what I'm talking about. That's how it photographs in black and white. I like it in black and white a lot. He's maybe going to do some modeling. I think he's got what it takes to do it. He's attractive. And then he'd move away like all my other friends. And that'd be sad. Okay. Anyway, there was a couple of that. Now, okay, this one is the Nancy Brown method. How many of you are familiar with that Nancy and David Brown book on advertising photography of people? Okay, well then you guys know this one. For the rest of you, the way she shoots grain is, in my opinion, too much work. But if you feel that it's, that much better, go ahead. What she does is, she shoots Ektachrome 400 film. She rates it at ASA 25. She uses a number 10 ND, a 0.8 ND, an 05 magenta, and a number 10 blue gelatin filter in front of the lens in a lens pattern. Now just wait. No.
Figure out that from.
She's still
I have no idea. Well, I'll tell you. Okay, I'll tell you what it says. Now, the problems with this are, number one, you can't see through that crap. Exactly. I couldn't see through it. It was real difficult. That's a lot of stuff. And so I had one of the gelatin filters that kind of comes down, and then you can put it back up, filter holders. And so I had to tape the little filters in there. I took it down. I would focus, compose, get my image right, put it back up, and shoot. Real convenient. Another thing, it's very contrasty. Visually, how I saw this from highlight to shadow density ratio and how it came out on film, it was much more contrasty than what VPS would be. All right? So bear that in mind. Now, then after she does all that, she push processes it from 2 to 5 stops. And the way they determine how they push process, they clip test. Does everybody know what clip testing is? You guys all know? Does anybody not know what clip testing is? Clip testing is when you send a roll of film to your chrome lab, okay? We're talking transparencies here. And they take like the first 3 or 4 rolls, clip it off, and they process it the way you want it pushed. Then you can take that back and look at it, and if that's not right, the rest of the roll they can either pull or push, however you want them to. Now the way they determine where they end up pushing, after they review their clip test, they want the highlights clean but with detail, and they'll push it that far. Now I do not know of a lab quickly that will push process anything 5 stops. Okay, am I mistaken? Is there some place that will do that?
Yeah, we can handle it.
You'll go
Put
first.
stuff on the camera before you take this picture. You gotta have rating.
Get your neutral density.
After class,
Miller's always got
I
those.
look really good.
We don't have to worry.
Well, this
Miller's
oh,
like,
okay. Well, I would like to thank you a lot, Teddy. I learned a lot tonight. I was really impressed. And 2 merits for coming in. Smile at Steve.
And a
2?
taco.
2? 3?
Three.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. If anybody has any questions, I'll stay. Oh, and my prints are around there at the walls. If you want to look at any of them, ask me any questions.
Find it here.
All right.
And thank you. You guys were really attentive. I don't know why. But really attentive.
Yeah, get everybody winking at the lights. Thanks for bringing that stuff.
Yeah, my shapes, about 5 feet, 5 to 8 feet. No, I didn't have anything. You don't pick a lighter there. It's gotta be black. It's gotta be D-max. Yeah, color. Then no, second exposure. I shut off the main light on the product on the second exposure and put a red gel light onto the white shapes. Scotland shape. Thank you very much for bringing that.
Thanks for calling, Mark. I probably forgot, honey.
I'll take the
I don't think you like it too much already.
Can we just leave this
Five.
or this remote attached there? Set up some Velcro. Just leave this attached. You need to start with it.
That's right.
And I think everything else could continue well.
Field box 367.
You're sticking right next to you. Just sit
He's got sneak in or Velcro or anything. Looks like it could hurt.
Oh, I got your belly.
Thank you.
All right.
You know, we had so much about that. Okay.
Now, you can sit there and look through the names like this, and you read that, and see that
It's hard
light.
to know how much to talk about what. I can hyper.
And I
I got some on this gal back. I got some in
No,
there.
no, I
His had him and he was like, $500, so I think that's
When you cut it out, you know where it's gonna be, so essentially it's a retrospective.
something about, I go visit
The product, no, right, with black, D-Max back in Shut off the main light on the product, no light on the product. The red color gel, and then you leave your shut off your light. Leave that red heat, the longer you leave it, the more pink the light